You uppity little ghost, don't you even know you're dead? We police the past, your future's in your head. We've hollowed out our Bibles to hide our golden guns. We've raised a silver gallows.
Welcome to the Marinade with Jason Earle. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have a special 2-for-1 episode with two of my favorite songwriters of all time. This is an absolute dream come true. I'm so honored to have Cory Branan and John Snodgrass on the show. It's so exciting to get to reach out and ask for people who you've been listening to for many years to come on the show and share a little bit of their creative process, and they certainly did in this episode. It's also one of our sillier episodes. In fact, it's easily the silliest episode to date. You've come to expect for us to dive deep into the creative process. You've come to expect for thoughtfulness and seriousness, but this is really something different and something special. We start off just talking about some really funny moments from shows where I've seen them in the past, and they're such good sports about it. Cory and I went in pretty hard on John for some of his habits, and it was really fun. So grateful for their thoughtfulness and their willingness to be silly and just their openness in the whole process. We caught up at Little Indies in Orlando, Florida. I've recorded a couple of episodes there, and usually I do it inside, and so there's like the clinking of glasses in the background, and sometimes you hear people having conversations. But this night, it was a Sunday night, and they were playing Will's Pub next door, and we caught up before the show. Unfortunately, there was a lot of stuff going on. I say unfortunately for us, certainly fortunately for the business, that there was a lot going on, and so we kind of had to find a quiet place. So we went out back behind Little Indies. There's a little kind of alley out there where you can sit and smoke cigarettes and have a drink, and so it kind of worked out nicely. There was Cory refers to it at the beginning of the show. There's kind of this cozy atmosphere. It's kind of a beautiful scene, and the night was perfect and felt good out, and so it was a different setting for a recording, and I think it turned out beautifully. So grateful for these guys. Cory is best known for his solo work. His new record, Adios, is absolutely outstanding. You're hearing Another Nightmare in America, one of my favorite songs of the year, perhaps my favorite song of the year 2017. That's Cory's song off his record Adios, which is excellent. You can go get it now at CoryBranan.com. He's on Bloodshot Records, so you can go to the Bloodshot Records website and get it there, or it's available on all your major music outlets. Also, John's stuff is fantastic. He has done work with a band called Armchair Martian and another called Drag the River, which is probably the band for which he's best known. He has a project called Scorpios, and he has his solo stuff and has a new solo release available, and you're going to hear a track from that at the end. And then also you can find all of his stuff at johnsnodgrass.com. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Cory Branan and John Snodgrass on the Marinade with Jason Earle. Cheers, y'all. Check. Yeah.
That lizard wants to go.
Sometimes. That lizard's always a guest on my show. Check.
This is actually
Yep.
this is like a good shot to film the thing. Backdrop.
I mean, Facebook Live this thing. We are going to start with social media, though. Especially because you guys were you just mentioned, like, starting the night off at whatever point. So I was scrolling through my Instagram, and my girlfriend and I were looking at like what our lives were like before we met, and then like my early social media game and how weak it was. And one of my very first pictures, look at this. Where is this thing? It's so bad. There's 3 of them actually. So here's you, John.
This is me?
That's you at Underbelly in Jacksonville. You remember
Oh,
Underbelly?
that was a good show.
Oh yeah.
We were just talking about this. This is the show where I set up that whole drum. Are we recording?
Yeah, you
Good.
mean this?
Yeah. I set up the whole drum set, and then that's the shot, dude.
Yeah.
And I sat down. And I did one hit because the sticks were candles.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Like literally candles.
So here's how I don't even remember this. Here's how that night started off. This is my first. This is before I had like a little blog at the time. I didn't have a podcast. I wasn't writing for anybody. I was just there as a fan, and I walked up and Cory, you were sitting behind the merch table, and John, you were sitting there with him, and I introduced myself and whatever, and told you guys I was excited for the show, and then I said, "Can I buy you guys a drink?" And you were like, "Yeah, I'd like," and you spouted off like 14 ingredients. You were like, I'd like a vodka double tall with a little bit of bitters and some cranberry juice. And could you like swirl it with your finger and then strain it and then put it on the rocks and then put it in a coffee cup or whatever it was, and I fucking nailed
I'm an
it.
asshole.
I brought the whole thing
Let me
back.
handle this one. We were just having tacos down the street just a minute ago, and I told him it summed up how he did it. The girl came by, the waitress, and he's like, "Could I get a cup of ice?" And she starts walking off. He's like, "With some water in it?" I'm like, "You mean ice water, John?" I'm like, I tell him he's the kind of guy that doesn't put all the items in the email. He just sends one thing as he thinks about it.
Dude, your emails are like indecipherable. They're impossible. Like I don't even have it in front of me. But the one you sent me was like, yeah, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, rock. Thanks. See you later, alligator.
It's like you're like emailing with the fawns.
Oh my god.
What the fuck?
My stomach hurts.
I don't even know.
I got stomach company.
Yeah, but so then I saw that picture on yours last night of him with the drum kit again. It was from Tampa, I guess.
Oh yeah. If there's a drum set, I'm on it.
How's the Florida
It's
tour
better
been?
if people take pictures of me playing drums.
Oh man.
Because that looks like it sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it does look cool. Yeah, you just sat there with this fucking shit-eating grin on your face that time in Jacksonville and Underwood.
I think that was when I bled on the.
You did.
It's like spurting blood on this. It was like an all-ages show or something, and the girl was like just laughing as blood was spurting out of my finger onto her, and I'm like, you don't know that I'm clean. I'm clean, but just for future reference in life, this is musician blood spurting off a stage. You just want to take a step back.
I feel somewhat responsible because I did buy those first couple of drinks, and then I think I brought y'all around to shots. But
We are responsible for our own actions,
What
so
an
don't
adult
take any of it
answer.
on you.
Oh, thank you so much. I feel better now. I haven't slept since that night. That night was fun though. That night was a really good time. I asked you to play. You said you want to hear anything, and I was like, yeah, I want to hear a Girl Named Go, and you go, I probably won't play that. And then I was like, I want to hear Muhammad Ali. and
John,
you go,
I don't think you're the dick. I
You
think
go-
it's me.
You go, yeah, I'm not letting you off the hook. You go, yeah, I'm probably not going to play that one either. And I asked like for 4 songs, and then by the time you got drunk, you played every damn song I asked for.
Yeah, I'm terminally full of shit.
Well, I was going to ask you guys about separate things, but they intersect quite a bit. So, first of all, Adios is fucking wonderful.
Thank you.
And I wanted to ask you about, we briefly talked at Rain Dogs, I don't know, a year and a half ago, something like that, about Another Nightmare in America. And you had, it wasn't always together. I wasn't fully recorded yet. But I just wanted to ask you about your headspace when you were writing that.
Yeah, it wasn't pleasant. Yeah, it just, people think because it came out this year that it was about the new regime change and things like that. I'm like, no, this is unfortunately an evergreen problem in the country,
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're going to write about police brutality to unarmed black teenagers, really it's the last thing that the black civil rights movement needs is, some cracker with an acoustic guitar championing problems. So finding the way to write about it, So, yeah, I go in and, I write it from the point of view of the racist cop to where it's more terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
And then I start realizing as I'm doing that you can't really put poetry in the mouth of a bigot. They become unbelievable as a character. And so then I had to stretch him out to sort of be the whole, just my list of grievances with the whole, we had a black president, racism dead, that crew, with the, evangelical rights selling everything they believe down the tubes for to hang on to the guns. They're coming for our guns. That's your golden calf, and that just, I don't know. It's just a list of things that keep. I'll be happy when the song is not pertinent.
Yeah, I mean, I love that thought, but one of the things that I've been thinking about a lot, and this, I'm sure that this comes up when each of you write, is just sort of like, you said the last thing the civil rights movement needs is another cracker with a guitar, but at the same time,
I'm obviously exaggerating that.
I know,
but yeah, but yeah,
but you know what I mean. Like,
we all need to fight,
right? That's what I'm saying. Is that like we all need that, right? And so like that responsibility isn't going away anytime soon, and you have to use whatever gifts you have, in order to get that across, because there probably is some, maybe not some racist asshole, but somebody who isn't necessarily fully aware. Right, that needs to hear that song to get their head around it.
But and there's also, for me, being from Mississippi and or Memphis now, and I feel that there's a sort of the burden that we have is the same. When you go through, I'm going to jump the shark a little bit, but when you go through Germany the first time I toured, and you see all of these Nazi punks fuck off, that sort of thing where the punk community is like vigilant about it.
Yeah.
It's like, I think that as an artist from the South, you have to address race in this country, because people are going to assume. Yeah.
We have such a bad crew in charge right now. Like that's how we're acting. I mean, like those guys, the Germans that I know, I mean, they're really kind of embarrassed about their history,
Yeah.
I mean, so they want to make sure stuff like that doesn't happen again. Yeah. So they police themselves. I feel like we're all policing ourselves too.
Yeah.
Like when the Paris Climate Accord thing happened, like everyone's like, "Fuck you, we're gonna figure it out anyways."
Yeah.
Like people are just doing it themselves and not relying on, who's in charge.
That sounds almost optimistic, though.
Yeah, let's be optimistic.
Good.
Let's be glass half full, spilling over.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, that's specific with the Paris thing. Well, that's a side tangent. But I mean, you shouldn't have to let the private sector take over for the government's.
I agree.
We already pay the taxes, for them to.
Yeah, but it's nice that the human nature is maybe going in a positive direction. That's what I'm saying.
We're obviously a better country than what's going on. I mean, the majority, there are more of them than us. If you want to do a them and us, but we're just, jaded and we don't vote.
Yeah, but some of that them and us too, like to that point, because I feel like there is a lot of them and us, and like a lot of things.
And that's unnecessary.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
It's not as, and that's what, again, why I make it a point to. I don't do politics, and I never have, like in any of this stuff. But to me, that specifically, I mean, police brutality, that's not politics. That's
right.
That's civil rights. That's
Yeah.
rights. But this whole new shit show is not politics. This is not right and left. This is not fiscal conservative versus, social libertarianism. This is, an assault on truth and erodes. It's step-by-step playbook eroding a democracy with totalitarian, playbook.
Right.
It's like that's not politics.
Right. There's a line.
Yeah.
And like that line is at like white cops just shooting unarmed black people.
But look at
like
what happened with those last elections. Yeah, what happened with the last elections? Like people are waking up and trying to pay attention to what's going on.
I just wish we could wake up without a bomb dropping on the house to wake us up.
I agree, but much like my friend's sister, her car, she ran it out of oil. Mm-hmm. Right. This is an analogy I make for our Earth often. Like she ran it out of oil, ruined the car. Dad got her a new car. I'm speaking about the Earth now. Mm-hmm. We don't have another Earth when we fuck it up. Like hopefully, unfortunately, that's how people are. They have to just ruin something before they realize that's how you're supposed to take care of something. So we need. Hopefully, people are scared about ruining things right now.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like that would be the thing that brings everyone together. When I was little, I was like, oh, everyone in the world will unite whenever Martians come after us. Mm-hmm. But hopefully maybe this this thing with our earth will be the thing that unites everyone. That's there's got to be something, and that's the common thing that is equally touching everyone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Too late before. I mean, just how a human.
I know, just like Jeannie's car.
All right, let's talk about music.
What do you mean, all right? That's a good analogy.
Except for
what?
Well, somebody bought. Wait, we'll talk about the holes in the analogy later.
What's the hole in that analogy?
Let's break it down now. We got time.
Break down Jeannie's car analogy.
Yeah. I'm saying she learned her lesson. Now she changes her oil all the time. But she had to ruin a car to do it. What I'm saying is we're ruining the earth right now.
Get no other earth.
And that's how we're learning. And so we got to figure out some way to not ruin the car.
There's no going back with the oil. There's only one car.
No shit. That's why there's the analogy.
No, Jeannie's got a new car. Jeannie's cruising around right now.
Right. So that's like
So
us
we need
moving
to
to
go to
Mars. We don't
Mars.
want to move to
Yeah.
Mars.
Oh, moving. Yeah. I mean, there's as far as climate change.
We got 9 more cars.
Is this what it?
Not where I'm
We
going
have
with it.
no other cars.
I know. No
It's
shit.
all Pintos up in space. They're all busted and they're up on blocks.
I don't know. One might be awesome though.
Is this
We're not even.
what your
we're
creative
not even
process
drunk.
looks like together?
Yeah.
Like, because I know you've collaborated quite a bit. Is this what it looks like?
Yeah, it's sort of like this. It's kind of messy.
No, it's fine. It's cool.
odd couple.
Is this weird?
No, I think it's healthy. I think Cory's
healthy.
skeptical.
We're working
He's
on a
looking at you
relationship.
skeptically.
I love this dude.
We love each other.
That's apparent. How is that different though? I mean, when you're writing for yourself, or you got 14 projects, right? You've got 3 different bands and your own stuff, and then you work with him sometimes. You work with other people. How much different is that creative process, or do you approach it pretty similarly?
I like recording and making music with other people and letting them kind of drive the car and just trying to, help them along. I like to do that a lot.
As long as somebody's putting oil in it.
Yeah, just got to keep the oil in that car.
Jeannie out of that car.
Keep Jeannie out of the car. Dude, it's a good analogy. Maybe I didn't explain it well.
I
I'll
got
tell
it.
you later. Yeah, you got
If
it.
Jeannie died in a fiery crash because she didn't put the oil in the car, that would be a good analogy. Sorry, Jeannie. There's no coming back. Anyway.
Yeah, but the car dies slowly, I think is John's point, is that, she's doing damage to the car, throughout the time that she
learned her.
hasn't
She learned her
changed,
lesson.
and
The
then she learned
lucky
her
thing
lesson.
for her is that she can get another one now. We can't get another one.
Yeah. So
That's-
that's why the analogy doesn't work. That's what I'm saying. Because there's no parallel. We can't get another one. We've thrown the rods.
Right. That's why I'm saying we're fucked.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. We only have one car. It's fucked up. Fucked up car.
It sounds like you're both right.
I guess we're just going to Uber to the show.
We're just gonna Uber now. Oh, that's cool. Thank God for Uber. I'm more of a Lyft man though.
We're going to circle back to social justice if we keep talking about Uber, man.
Yeah, right. Talk about it. Yeah, anyway.
God, yeah, all right. So, what about you,
Lyft.
Cory, with that process, creative process? Are you-
Yeah, I don't write with folks very much, but I do like to collaborate. I like to have my buddies sing on stuff, and specifically in the studio, though, yeah, I like to get the best musicians in the world and don't let them prepare.
Mhm.
I'll throw them some demos a little bit ahead, like a week ahead,
Yeah.
But a lot of it's done on the floor in real time, and I try to arrange a song and give it to them in my ideal form, and then I listen to them, and when it's better, which it is often,
Yeah.
I'm like, here we go, we're going this way, we're going this direction. So I like to play it fast and loose. But when as far as having, John sang on my record, and when I get buddies on records, I've been doing this long enough to have just rad friends in it, and so but I don't just go, I'm gonna get my rad friend on a song or two. I have to sort of, when I'm writing, I have to hear it, And I know John and I've been touring so much over the years that I know how our voices sound together, and so I mean, I'd like to have him on every song, but I also like to give him a spot where it's going to be give him a spot to shine, Like when we first did The Corner, not on the one we were mucking around the house, but when we did the mix for the record on Mud, he's like, man, you got my vocals up too high. I'm like, no, you are not a background vocalist. I want to sing with you. I want to hear our voices, hear how they mix,
Yeah.
I like my friends singing with me.
For what it's worth, that's my second favorite Cory Branan song behind Now Another Nightmare in America.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. John,
Yeah.
John?
It's because I sing real good on it.
That's great, yo. Each of you, what are you consuming right now? And like outside of music, well, we could do music too, but outside of music, books, okay, yeah, food, whatever.
I'm watching the new Curb Your Enthusiasm season. Fatwa.
And is Curb Your Enthusiasm something that inspires you to create?
No. Kinda, actually. I've been saying something. Yeah, when I watch that show, I kind of become that guy, and it's terrible. Yeah.
You kind of become the Larry David character?
I do. I don't mean to. It comes out, though, a little bit.
I'm not getting Larry David from you.
Yeah, we'll just get off that. It's fine.
We both have bits where we go back and forth as Larry David to Larry David.
Yeah, it's two Larry Davids.
Yeah. So, what about you, Cory? Are you doing Larry Davids right now?
No, yeah. This is our Larry Davids. What, they're not good?
No, spot on, guys.
Mississippi Larry
I don't
David.
know why you're
Just
playing
too
the show
lazy to
later.
even be upset about shit.
I don't know why you brought your guitars.
Yeah, right. We don't even need guitars tonight. Yeah, I don't. John and I both have kids, so whatever I get in is usually when I'm on the road. As far as the only time I get to have a thought longer than 10 minutes in a row. This trip, I mean, John and I are doing these shows together, so we're just hanging out. But before this, it's all audiobooks. So I think this one I finished something that was jazz standards, where the guy's breaking down each sort of major American jazz song and sort of the quintessential versions of it. And so I've been listening to that and then going and digging out some of these tracks that he's talking about. And, been doing that. Been doing, I did, last tour was all of Beethoven's symphonies, a 48-hour college lecture on all of Beethoven's symphonies. I love that stuff, man. Yeah, man, those great courses. They're good.
Yeah.
Boy.
No?
No, that dude doesn't rock.
You like his early stuff?
I like AC/DC.
Yeah. Well, they're similar. His early stuff.
I'm kidding.
But no, yeah, that and I like the a lot of the Malcolm Gladwell type stuff where or the books where they're basically just repurposing like stuff you already know, but they'll take disparate, even like anecdotal things, and they put it all in one.
Yeah.
They do my thinking for me, and they put it right there, and then I can think about that. But they make the initial connections. The one that I just got through with was fun. It was called Hitmakers, The Science of Popularity in an Age of Distraction, which was a very interesting book. The one that I thought was most interesting is they did the scientific study on how long you can startle a mouse. It's kind of cruel, but how long you can startle a mouse with a noise before he habituates, and then how long you can do that noise and repeat it before you have to introduce the second noise, and how the optimal pattern between the noises, how long you can switch them back and forth, and what pattern before you have to introduce a third. So they're trying to find out the pattern with the least amount of noise, least amount of different noises, and how long you can do it. And what they found was it was pattern that kept the mouse startled enough for the longest period of time was AAB, AAB, CAA, or CB, which is verse, first, chorus, bridge, chorus. Yeah, we're startled mice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So those kind of things, I enjoy those things.
It sounds
I don't like songs like that.
Oh man, that's really interesting. My next question was going to be, well, does that inform your songwriting at all? But apparently, yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a reason why we like structure, and I use a lot of my songs. I write in cliched structure, but in that, I want to set up expectation immediately. Oh, I know what this song's about. It's Boy and a Girl in the Bar. And so then if I have to set up expectation, I can subvert it immediately. Like the quick film analogy is like a movie like Inception, which, is no deep think piece or anything. But for a lot of people, a movie within a movie wouldn't be, they'd be like, oh, what is this artsy stuff? But they said it's a heist flick. They're breaking in to get this information. So the heist flick. Oh, there's too much security. We've got to do this, and the montage. The setup, the framework for the heist flick. So you recognize immediately when you're watching it, it's a heist flick, and then they can do whatever they want with it. So I like to set up the heist flick, and then do whatever the hell I want with your head. With your head.
There is something very freeing about that, right? Not fucking with people's heads necessarily, but just having the structure and then being able to work within that structure.
Yeah.
Kind of, here's the rules, but I can do whatever I want with
and it's just using it as a framework, and it's the whole thing. Before you break the rules, you have to know them, and then if you learn why they work, there is a reason why the things work. Why a pre-chorus that's 2 lines, or a pre-chorus that's 3 lines works better than 4 or 1. The 3 you're expecting a closure. All of music, all of in a broad view, all of art is tension and release, and so you're expecting even harmony in music. The 5 chord wants to go back to the 1, very bad. 4 chord, it could go to 4. There's a tension there.
Yeah.
And if you know how to delay, or prolong expectation, or how to relieve expectation in the right place before you hit them with something else. It's just a lot of it's intuited, but I do know music theory I went to school and stuff, so it doesn't necessarily work in a cerebral way. It's just sort of in there, and I intuit a lot of it, but I do when I hear something that strikes me in music, I go, how did they get me? Because I'm hard to get.
Yeah.
And when something moves me, sometimes I'm like, I go straight in and put how did they do that? Why was that the sentiment? Was that a mix of the melody and the sentiment? Is it dangerous that they got me? Is it weak of me to be got there? I like listening to every song like I wrote it. As I hear a song, I'm like, okay, I'm just seeing my hand on the page, and I'm like, oh, I wouldn't have went there with that. Sometimes I'm like, oh, that's where they blew it. They dropped the ball. And sometimes I'm like, oh, that's great. And when they deviate somewhere, then that's that artist's voice,
What about that, John? Like, do you have a similar kind of approach, or because it almost sounds, Cory, like it's hard for you to let
I
go.
wasn't listening to any of that.
So the answer is no.
You're just fixated on that little gecko guy there.
I try
buddy.
I try to play the chord that you don't think that you're going to play.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I try to not play the obvious chord.
Yeah.
That's it.
Cory, the other day you tweeted.
And I try not to play the root note.
You tweeted about, say the other day, I don't remember when it was, but you said something to the effect of like, I found more inspiration at the bottom of a coffee cup than at the bottom of a glass or a bottle or something. You remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And so I wonder, like, for each of you, is there a substance? Maybe it's caffeine. Maybe it's it could be love or something, right? It might not necessarily need to be something you drink or take, but is there some sort of something in a process or something that helps you get in that headspace, or are you better off fresh in the morning? Or
Well, yeah, for me, I'm sorry. Yeah, that statement was just just a whatever statement. I just said that for a lot of my buddies. I see. I've been doing this long enough, so I see the people that subscribe to the tortured artist myth, and I have no stock in that.
Yeah.
It wasn't being literal exactly with the cup of coffee. I just mean just do the work. It's not. The work is the inspiration for me. It's like you don't have to crack your heart open like it's a fortune cookie. People destroy their lives to get this stuff. People ask me, how do you write now that you're relatively happy with your family? I'm like, well, happiness is fleeting.
Yeah.
And I'm terrified for their happiness and protection. I'm like, I can, it's like, it's always under there. All of it's under there. And it's more acute.
Yeah.
Now that I'm not living for myself. It's easier once you don't live for yourself. Things get more clear cut. It's not the monitors sucking at the club or not a big deal. I'm like, oh, I play this gig and there's food in the fridge. Done. It's clear cut.
Yeah.
But the churn and the emotional stuff, it doesn't go away. It doesn't, and you can write from a peaceful place. It's all there always.
Yeah.
The idea of, oh, you're happy, you can't do good work. That's just lazy to me. It's a silly notion. And
right.
but I see people climbing that cross or laying themselves on that altar all the time. You see young people, and they're attracted to that part of Steve Earle's myth. And I'm like, Steve Earle does the work.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he was a mess a lot when he was younger. It's like, but he luckily got through it. He could have not got through it. We wouldn't have got The Mountain, or we wouldn't have got, some of those records.
Oh, what a great record.
Yeah. So I think that myth is dangerous. I think obviously things can be created out of that, but also, you get to things. John can testify. Like I get these when I'm blasted and drunk, and I got these great ideas, and it's great ideas, and the next day you get up and you're like, oh, this is what I think is a great idea.
Yeah.
Tampa Bloom. I got a song called Tampa Bloom that I thought was a great idea.
You still think it's a great idea?
It is a good idea. Are you familiar with Tampa Bloom?
I am familiar.
Yeah,
You've mentioned
see?
it
People know.
maybe almost every time I've seen you play.
Hey, tell the people out there in the computer box what Tampa Bloom is.
Tampa Bloom is the fictitious brother of Orlando Bloom, the lesser successful yet older brother of Tampa Bloom. Not quite as good looking, a little goofier. Yeah, that's it.
So why
I
hasn't
still think it's going to be a good song.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, when
I just
is
need
it-
a bridge. I'm
Yeah.
close.
Do you see Cory singing on it at all?
Not anymore. I used to, but he is such a anti-Tampa Bloom. He is not invited anymore.
It came up last night. People were talking about Tampa Bloom. They're like, oh, yeah, it's a good idea. He's like, he always brings me down. He's not my good friend. I'm like, no, right now, in my opinion of Tampa Bloom, I'm your best friend in the world. You need to listen to my opinion of Tampa Bloom. Do your other great work, John.
Okay. All right.
Oh, man. We're coming up against that 30 minutes, guys, and I really appreciate your time. I'm trying
All right.
to make sure I asked you everything I wanted to ask you.
Thanks for wanting to talk to us. Appreciate it.
No, I really appreciate it, guys. This is really cool. I did want to make up my own point about what you said earlier about doing the work, because I did have the incredible fortune of meeting Steve Earle recently, and it was the coolest fucking moment. And I don't get starstruck. I get to meet really cool musicians that I talk to all the time. That was the first time I've ever walked up to somebody and been like, "Fuck, don't fuck this up. Don't fuck this up. Handle it." And he was so gracious.
Yeah.
So he's like that swagger and that bigger than life kind of personality, and I expected him to be kind of like arrogant or something, and he wasn't that way to me at all. He bowed to me and said like hello and
He bowed
welcome.
to you like Steven Seagal?
He bowed to me.
Huh.
Yeah.
Steve's never bowed to me. I've done a lot of shows with him. I've never gotten the bow. Hey, Steve, I want to bow.
I was scared to talk to him.
Really?
Yeah.
Anybody else make you nervous?
Who else made me nervous? Jay Farrar used to make me nervous. Still does.
Yeah.
Bob Mould. But I've met him many times and still nervous.
Who were we talking about the other day? Somebody huge you met. Who's insane. Sorry, I can't.
Wait, was it a musician or?
Yeah, like somebody like. Was it the Bowie story? No.
Oh, Bowie's story is not my story.
We went into my story with that, but you had somebody like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You met Bowie, Cory?
I think I met Darth Vader once. It was weird. He was pretty cool. He's got a bad rap. I mean, like, there's no good guys or bad guys. There's just people that have bad days.
He came through in the
Actually, Darth Vader's actually kind of a dick.
He is a little bit of an asshole.
But my Spider-Man Wolfman, Thomas Jefferson song? I mean, that's the idea, because that's what I'm trying to teach my kids too, a little bit. And I said that, I think I made the Darth Vader joke. And then my son, he wears Darth Vader shit all the time. I'm like, oh my God, my son is going to be trouble. Like he's got
He can hang out with my kid.
stormtrooper jacket.
Shit.
Yeah, we're all the Empire. And I'm like, dude, I'm a rebel. Like, I'm not part of the Empire. I'm a fucking tauntaun, bro.
But so you have to let go, right? It's your kid, and you
Of
want them to
course.
have their own path. And if it's the dark side, it's the dark side, right? Like-
No, I'm not letting him go.
Let
To
him
the dark.
go,
I mean,
right?
in the fictitious stories, I guess he can do that. Like, but it's like my friend Shane Sweeney. You know Shane Sweeney,
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe it.
I don't know Shane personally. I know Micah.
I saw this picture. He's a huge baseball fan. He's a Cleveland Indians fan, and his son is wearing this New York Yankees hat. And I just know it's killing him. And he's like, if that's the worst thing he does, because his son, I think his son's like T-ball team or something was just called the Yankees. So he just always identified with that and liked the symbol, and now he likes the actual Yankees.
Oh no!
Which is like
Darth
Vader.
That was perfect. Thank you, guys.
Sorry, New York. You're not waking up until the moonlight sun.
Cory Branan and John Snodgrass, such a delight. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you to Cory and John for being so gracious with their time. I love those guys. I love their music. Go and check out all the new stuff from them. Cory has his record, Adios, which has the song Another Nightmare in America that you heard earlier. John has a new effort called The Carpet Thief, a solo effort that you can go check out wherever you get music. And you can also go to his website, johnsnodgrass.com, and find the information there to get physical copies of it straight from the man himself. Check out his music with Drag the River. Check out Scorpios and Armchair Martian. If you like what we're doing here on the show, please go and support us on wherever you consume podcasts. It takes just a couple of seconds to give us a rating. It means a lot to us, and it makes a big difference for us. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Marinade Podcast. We're at Marinade Podcast on Twitter and Marinade_podcast on Instagram. Again, we greatly appreciate you. Thank you so much for listening. Cheers, y'all.
There's no time for what you want. I spend too much time with